But it was almost this, it was just a little bit. Perfect.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly board session. It's Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. It's 9 o'clock. We're here in the center hearing room. As always, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you would please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We don't have anyone signed up for public comment. Good morning. And so we're going to go right into our consent agenda. Commissioner Cameron, if you would carry that.
Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to move the consent agenda. First off, under business services, approve an order ratifying the delegation of authority to Jan Fritz, Marion County Chief Administrative Officer, to execute the purchase agreement for real property described as tax lot 093E27DC03000, located in the city of Gates, Oregon. Under Human Resources, approve the ratification of the new Marion County District Attorneys Association Collective Bargaining Agreement, CBA, for 2023 through 2026. Under Public Works, schedule final consideration to adopt an administrative ordinance for December 6, 2023 to amend the Marion County Rural Zone Code, Chapter 17, to permit accessory dwelling units in the acreage residential area zone. And schedule final, under Public Works, schedule final consideration to adopt an administrative ordinance for December 6, 2023 for Zone Change Comprehensive Plan ZCCP case number 23-001, Pacific Beaverton Land Company, LLC. And under the Sheriff's Office, approve an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Staten Police Department and the City of Woodburn Police Department for interagency special weapons and tactics SWAT team collaboration through December 31st, 2028.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. All right. And now we have our first item, our first action item. Brian May, you're going to come up, and we're going to consider approval of an order appointing Herschel Sangster as chair for the Marion County Parks Commission with the term ending November 29th, 2025. Good morning, Hirsch.
Good morning.
It's good to see you here.
Thank you very much.
Go for it, Brian.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Brian May, Marion County Public Works Environmental Services Division Manager, and with me today.
I'm Hersh Sangster, 5158 Lacey Street North in beautiful downtown Kaiser.
You're in your Beavers tie, I see, too.
Oh, yes, it's always go Beavs.
Oh.
Especially
no
now.
bias in the selection when we said yes to this. Just saying.
No impartiality here completely. So for information today, Parks Commission consists of 11 members that does great work for us in helping us work and advise on our parks and again, still getting back to normal from our fires from 2020. This team does a great job for us. Hirsch started on Parks Commission in March of 2022. Wayne Rollins, our chair, has recently stepped down, and our Parks Commission actually voted to put Hirsch in place as chair in their September 21st meeting. So today, more chance to introduce you guys to our potential new chair and seek approval. So I'll shut up and let Hirsch talk about all the great things he does.
Well, one of the big things about being on Marion County Parks is, as Brian alluded, our challenge in the canyon. And we have an opportunity that we can create great recreational opportunities for every citizen in Marion County and really the world. Not only seniors like myself or bicyclists like myself, but walkers, families, the disabled, everybody. And that's kind of going to be my mission for the next while, is not to forget about our other wonderful parks, but to focus on the canyon, to bring it back and make it not only a great recreational area, but an area of economic development, because Marion County is pretty, and we want to keep it that way. And we just want things to be like in the 30s when the CCC came in, where they built beautiful things that really benefited people 50 years from now. That's what my vision and the commission's vision is.
No, Hirsch, you're quite a community guy. It's one of the things I like about you. So I'm really grateful that you're giving some of your time to the Marion County Parks Board, because I know you're not short of other ways that you volunteer in our community. How has that gone? Has it been a good experience?
Very much so. Wayne Rawls has been just a wonderful mentor for me, as well as a few of the other members, and the staff have they have a passion too that I can just so yes.
That's great. Any questions, Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, thank you, and thank you for your service on the Parks Commission and stepping up. Yesterday, we had our annual board retreat to set some priorities, and one of, I think, 7 priorities that we listed was the parks and the rebuilding of the parks in the canyon that we know is really important. So we will be doing all we can to help with that and pushing, leading, whatever it takes to make sure we get some work done to get, especially some of those parks open in the Little North Fork by next spring, next summer. So really appreciate you recognizing that that's important and that the Parks Commission will be helping focus on that. And I know we have a meeting today with our partners up there, with the BLM and U.S. Forest Service and our Sheriff's Department to talk about the Little North Fork and where we're all at, and hopefully you can attend some of those.
I'm
You're going
planning on
to be
attending
perfect,
that
great,
one.
yeah. So I really appreciate your service and all those that serve on the commission, and I know that it's really it's one of those things that after a disaster, we all know how hard it is to come back from that,
Yeah.
but it's going to be important. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd just like to add, my wife is here, Marion. She's an equestrian person, so I have input on not only the bikes and hiking and fishing, but I have an advisor on the equestrian side of parks.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think there's a design to put a horse trail on the side of Little North Fork Road. No, I'm just teasing. Not on that road.
Is there room?
Is there room? There's no room. It's very
No.
dangerous.
Right, yes.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But there are lots of trails off of the road
There we
that
go.
we consider, and we should do that. But yes, let's not put a horse in the windshield of any vehicle, which is
No.
what would happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions. I know you and Marion very well, and I'm just grateful for the service that you provide to Kaiser and the greater whole of Marion County. I think folks that might not know you by name know about the Monster Cookie Ride, and you are the Monster Cookie Ride.
Well,
So you and
and the
your
cookies
family.
are named after Mary Ann's recipe.
That's right. So you and your family do a great job of collaborating, coordinating for everybody that lives around here, and I'm grateful for that. So thanks for saying yes in 21 and coming back and doing it again now.
You bet.
Thanks, sir. All right, Commissioner Bethel, I'll take a motion if you're ready.
Yeah, I move to approve an order appointing Herschel Sangster as chair for the Marion County Parks Commission with a term ending November 29th, 2025.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye. The motion passes. Thank you, Herb.
Thank you very much, and as always, go Beavs.
Go Bees. Thank you, Marion. Okay, Brian, you're staying, and we're going to consider approval of an order appointing Brad Barker as citizen at large to the Marion County Solid Waste Management Advisory Council with a term ending June 30th, 2027. All right? Did I get that right?
Yes, thank you very much. And again, Brian May for the record, and with me today, I have Brad Barker.
Brad Barker, 1281 Chrissy Court South, Salem.
Welcome.
So Brad is requesting to be appointed to our Solid Waste Management Advisory Council. Brad comes to us after being a most recent graduate of our Marion Resources class. So we're very excited to have him here with us. As you know, we have quite the process to become a SWAMAC member, and Brad has stuck through thick and thin and changes in schedules and everything else, and has already provided some very valuable input to the group, and we look forward to having him on commission with us. So again, I'll let Brad talk a little bit about what he does.
Go Ducks.
I am a little neutral
This
here.
room is
I will
split.
say,
I'm just
I'm
saying.
Switzerland.
The Beavers are over there and the Ducks are over here today, so it is definitely divided.
I mean, I sure don't want UW winning that game this weekend. Like, it'd be great.
Yeah, but you know, in all due respect, what used to be called the Civil War has always been civil
There you go.
That's
and
right.
shall remain so.
And shall remain being called the Civil War. in
I
my-
think so.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you know,
Yeah.
come on.
Yep, sorry, Civil War it is.
So how long have you been interested in solid waste? And obviously, the Resourcers project is a big commitment. Tell us a little bit about.
Well,
your
my,
passion for
my
this.
story is a little different from Hirsch's. I'm a native Oregonian. I grew up in Eugene and spent my adult life and career in global health, mostly in Africa. So about a year and a half ago, I decided that journey was ending. I retired and moved back to my native Oregon. Where am I going to live?
The
Well,
best part.
I came to Salem and then started looking around for something to do. You know, when you spend your entire life engaged in saving mommies and babies, and then all of a sudden you don't save mommies and babies anymore, a 24-hour day can be pretty long. So I began looking at different opportunities and came across this thing called Marion Resourcers. And since environment was one of the things that I wanted to get involved with, it seemed to be a perfect match for me. And during the training, I heard about this thing called the Solid Waste Management Advisory Council. I thought, that would maybe be a nice forum for me to get involved to deal with, you know, more policy level things. And so I applied. And thankfully, in the last sessions, you had more important things to discuss than, and so, but I've been able to participate in the meetings as a guest, I think four times now, and really feel that that might be a forum where I can contribute to environmental issues concerning my home.
Great.
The fact that it's local is appealing.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of,
Any questions, commissioners?
What have you, yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So what have you picked up during you said you've attended 4 of the meetings as a guest. What have you seen, heard that has piqued your curiosity or your thoughts?
well, you know, most of what I learned about solid waste management, I learned during the Marion Resources course. I think it's perhaps fortuitous that I happened to arrive at a time where we learn that we don't have a master plan. And the council has been discussing the last few months the design of that next master plan. And I think with my background in public health and monitoring and evaluation concerned with environment, I think that this is it's almost fortuitous that I would arrive. So I would think that my first contribution, hopefully, will be helping to develop the next master plan, and particularly in the area of monitoring and evaluation. I'm concerned about food waste in particular, about recycling, and particularly film, plastic. So kind of areas that I might be able to focus on.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
We know plastics is a challenge.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so is getting food waste out of the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what we come up with. Great.
I'm just saying that chickens are really good at managing food waste, and I don't know why we don't deal with that more.
For instance.
I have chickens, and I'm always trying to get people to give me their stuff.
Those chickens need to eat, huh?
Well, I mean, I don't want my chickens to eat like grains and breads and things like that. So we feed them a lot of produce. And I was just at the grocery store day before yesterday, and I was like, hey, do you guys have produce that goes bad that you don't sell? And he said, yeah. And I said, can you give it to the local farms? He said, no. I was like, why? And he said, well, there's this whole process, the in and out process of cost of goods. And I was like, so you're basically you're just throwing it away? Yes. So I think we should address that.
Yeah.
Commissioner Bethel dumpster diving.
I'm not going to be dumpster diving any day soon, but I do think that we have this program where we can encourage through Earthwise and other things businesses to partner locally to reduce food waste, but we can also encourage them to transfer that food waste that they cannot
Yes.
reduce into the ag space. I know that we have composting and other things that are successful, but it has some challenges. And I mean, not that I'm pro chicken farms, but I am pro chicken farmers. And they do a good job of reducing that kind of waste. And it's really good for them. They'll make more eggs. Then maybe the cost of eggs will come down for people in the store.
Well, Mr. Chair, based on me trying to put on my pants this morning, I don't think I have any food waste.
I know exactly where
I
that
have the
was going.
same
as soon
problem.
as
I
you
have the
said
same problem. I need to waste a little bit more food, I think.
that.
All right,
All right, you ready for a motion?
I am.
It's nice to meet you. Thanks for wanting to do this.
Thanks for allowing me.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve an order appointing Brad Barker as citizen at large to the Marion County Solid Waste Advisory Council with a term ending June 30th, 2027.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Welcome. All right, next up, we're going to consider approval of amendment number 3 to the intergovernmental agreement with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments at $114,574 for a new contract total of $236,414 to reallocate unspent funds for wildfire recovery efforts and extend the term date to June 30th, 2024. Morning, Chris.
Good chilly morning, Commissioners and Madam CAO. You basically gave my entire staff report right there. I appreciate that. In front of you is
A little more detail would be great.
is an amendment to a contract that we've had with Council of Governments since right after the wildfires to provide enhanced planning services for the cities of Gates and Detroit while they work on their wildfire recovery. They're doing a lot of work up there, processing building permits and helping the two communities go through code amendments, et cetera, et cetera. So we've been funding a lot of those activities since right after the wildfires with the municipal wildfire grant that we obtained through Business Oregon. And this last legislative session, the legislature allowed them to carry unspent funds into the next biennium, and we are in that pool of folks who had unspent funds. And so in order to allocate those funds through this next biennium, we're asking you to agree to this amendment to this contract so that we can provide additional funding for COG to keep providing planning services to both Gates and Detroit for the next 2 years. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, he said 2 years, but this is a year.
This particular contract is a year. It will be extended again one more year next year, but the funding amount will be for a 2-year period.
So I know that we've had this conversation a few times. I would really like to understand what the designed outcome is supposed to be. You know, we're not just paying a contract for something to sit idle, that there's what's really going on and what work are they actually doing. I've heard a lot of talk about they're doing permits, but you know, I've met with the mayors like you, and I'm just curious, what's the COG actually doing in the next year for sure?
They are doing, the big work that they're doing is cleaning up their code.
Okay.
So they're going through, working with their development code, working with the communities and citizen groups to basically determine, now that we have this reset moment, what is it that you want to be? Let's work the code to make sure that you can get there and meet your dreams through the code. So that's the big work that they're doing, but they're also augmenting staff by doing the permit reviews and subdivision reviews and those kinds of things. Because those are, quite honestly, skill sets beyond what the staff of Gates and Detroit have. So.
And if this contract didn't exist, how would Gates and/or Detroit receive those services? Because COG is who they would contract with, right? They'd have to write a check themselves?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Kramer, do you have any questions?
No, we had this presentation the other day.
Okay, good.
All right, I move to approve amendment number 3 to the intergovernmental agreement with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments to add $114,574 for a new contract total of $236,414 to reallocate unspent funds for wildfire recovery efforts and extend the term to June 30th, 2024.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion
Thank you.
passes.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. All right, Carol, you're up next. We're going to consider approval of amendment number 1 to the incoming funds intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority to add $4,672,807.46 for a new contract total of $11,091,829.46 and extend the term date to June 30th, 2025 for Behavioral Health Resource Network, BURN, Drug Addiction Treatment and Recovery Services. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners.
How'd I do?
For the record, Carol Hurd, Marion County Health and Human Services. Yes, I am here seeking approval for the amendment to our agreement with Oregon Health Authority to accept additional funds for our Behavioral Health Resource Network grant. These funds will continue to allow our addiction treatment service programs to provide substance use disorder services to individuals with limited or no resources who are seeking treatment. So that would allow us to provide substance use screening, intervention services, substance use disorder treatment, peer-related services, and employment support services for individuals with substance use disorders. These funds will also allow us to continue providing housing barrier removal supports for individuals with substance use disorder who are struggling to either gain or maintain housing. As I was going back and looking over some of our numbers, I actually identified that we've served approximately 1,000 unique individuals with these funds since July of 2022. And so those individuals would have been served either by staff who are paid for by the grant or who maybe received services through our other staff who aren't necessarily paid for through the grant but struggled to have resources of their own to receive services, so the funding helped pay for their services directly. Do you have any questions?
I do. So, the super tiny print,
Yes.
which is why I had to put on my glasses, under the budget narrative, it talks about contracting with CBOs.
Yes.
Who are we contracting with to do the specific work called out in that?
Okay, so the current community-based organizations we're contracted with are Catholic Community Services, Church at the Park, Poder, Soaring Heights, and St. Anne Hospital. And those contracts are set to expire. The funding is through this year. However, their contracts allow them to continue to do the work with the funding through this year until the end of June, so 2024. And the plan is to come and have a conversation about what we want to do moving forward after the end of this year.
Okay. You had provided me a report before, or somebody in your team maybe did. Can you get me an update?
Yeah.
I'd like to know the origin of those 1,000 individuals and if these 5 CBOs are producing those outcomes. They're not.
No, these 1,000 individuals are directly receiving services from Marion County Addiction Treatment Services.
Okay, so there's above and beyond then
Yes.
services. So can you just give me a report on both? And I know that on the Church at the Park one, we weren't asking for specific information, but I think we are now. Hoping to see that new information. Thanks.
Of course.
Carol, could you, obviously you're going to give us a more detailed report, but in general, are all these contracts with these CBOs the same? Are they different? Are the outcomes the same for each of them? Are they different?
So some of them are What they contracted to do was a little different. Some of them were contracting to, several of them were contracting to provide peer support services, but their focus was a little different. So some of them were individuals who were, organizations who were working with individuals in the Canyon area. Some of them were individuals who were working with clients here in the city. And then there was one that was working on more of an anti-stigma campaign, so very different from what the rest of the organizations were working on.
Okay.
That's PODER, right?
PODER, yeah.
Yeah, they're working specifically within the Hispanic community
Okay.
to try to reduce the stigma of accessing services, making it more culturally acceptable.
Okay. That makes sense.
Have we had any success? It lists off 3 community populations, the Marshallese, Chuukese, and Latinx. Have we contracted with anybody for the Marshallese or Chuukese populations?
We didn't have anybody within the RFP who was associated directly with those populations
Okay.
apply.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions, commissioners?
You ready?
You okay?
Yes, I am. Thank
Okay.
you. Sorry.
Then I'll take a motion.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve amendment number 1 of the incoming funds intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority to add $4,672,807.46 for a new contract total of $11,091,829.46 to extend the term date to June 30th, 2025 for Behavioral Health Resource Network Drug Addiction Treatment and Recovery Services.
I second the motion.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
All right, Phil, you're next. We're going to consider approval of the contract for services with Pelton Project Incorporated, the amount of $500,000 to provide home and community-based services for qualified Medicaid recipients, retroactive to July 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Phil Blay, Outpatient Division Director, here to request approval of the contract for Pelton Project not to exceed $500,000 and due to end in December 2023. We are requesting the 6-month extension due to alignment of OHA's IGA constant 6-month extensions.
Yeah, good job.
So
I just want to
administrative
again
burden-
commend you for not signing a bad contract. Good job. Keep it going.
Thank you. So Pelton Project is one of our contractors who utilizes 1959 funding, which is a state Medicaid plan that allows us to use Medicaid funding for home rehabilitation, behavioral health rehabilitation, psychological rehabilitation services for qualified Medicaid recipients who have been diagnosed with a mental illness. These are much-needed services to support individuals to maintain in the community. We are hopeful that we have a contract with the OHA in the next year, hopefully in the next 6 months, but we'll probably be back here again soon, extending another 6-month contract for Pelton as well as a few others.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
So where are these individuals housed? Is it in their own homes, like independent units, or are they in community homes?
They're in community homes.
Okay, I was trying to figure out how it's working. Yeah, okay. That's all. I don't have any more questions.
Okay. I'm convinced we will get to a good contract with OHA. I'm convinced of it.
We're
and I
getting closer.
appreciate your work, you know?
Sounds like you're being optimistic today, Commissioner. Good job.
Well, you know, we've had this thing in the past. Now we're doing pretty good. But even with openings, I know we've had like vacant positions. I know Ryan's been in the situation with leadership positions, and sometimes we've had 2 or 3 recruitments, and you're much better off leaving the position open, even if you're going to suffer, than hiring the wrong person, and then you're really going to suffer, you know. And I think it's the same thing with this. You'd rather sign these extensions and keep working on getting a good contract than sign a bad contract and have to suffer for it. So I appreciate the work and how inconvenient this is, but I appreciate you doing the right thing for the county.
Thank you.
do think it's important to state that it's not just us.
No,
It's
no.
like every county in Oregon, just so we're clear. It's not Marion County being the obstinate county. It's all counties in Oregon are being obstinate with
I would
OHA.
say OHA is being extremely unreasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it's great that we're utilizing our partnerships across the state to have these healthy conversations to really get not just a good contract for the benefit of our employees, but for the benefit of the individuals we're serving.
Of course, yeah.
You know, the whole purpose of this is to have unique services to meet the needs of the individuals who are unique themselves. And I think the hill you're all climbing is admirable and unheard of, in my opinion. I think that usually counties just roll over eventually and just
Yeah.
do whatever the state wants, and you know, they're saying enough is enough, and that's super important because we need to make sure we're providing services to the individuals the way they need those services. So thank you. I know it's difficult and frustrating.
Thank you.
And you said it, it's really about the people we serve.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's it. And we have to get it right. So that's what we'll do, huh?
Great.
That's it. Okay, I'll take a motion.
All right, I move to approve the contract for services with Pelton Project, Inc. in the amount of $500,000 to provide home and community-based services for qualified Medicaid recipients retroactive to July 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2023.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
All right, Ryan. Wow, we got the whole leadership team here.
Katrina's not here.
We're going to consider approval of the addendum to the Oregon Supplement to Statewide Allocation Agreement with the State of Oregon to extend the settlement allocations and clarify the use of proceeds and related administrative details.
I can't wait to learn what this is.
Oh,
This makes no sense to me.
It does not, but good morning. For the record, Ryan Matthews with Marion County Health and Human Services. And I'm wearing a jacket because it's really cold in here, not just because I'm really excited about last week's game and really still enjoying it. You know, that
Too
may
soon,
have a,
Ryan, it's too soon.
It's never too soon. Okay.
Is he want a yes vote?
I don't know. I mean, you maybe could have waited.
Who knows? We'll see what this is,
He's
right?
confident that the commissioners will make their decision based on the merits and not based on the disappointment of last week's football game.
That's right. I trust the integrity of our board, and so I'm not concerned about that. Anyway, so I'm here seeking an approval of an amendment, and you just read a lot of
You better
words as
see
to
Carr.
what this is, but this is related to the opioid epidemic from 2020, 2021. This is related to class action lawsuits that were filed against pharmacies that overprescribed OxyContin and the drug companies that marketed in a misleading way that made people think that they were just being prescribed pain medications that were non-addictive. And unfortunately, the ramifications of that, took the nation by storm with overdoses and addiction and impact to our communities. And so there were 2 class action lawsuits that were filed. This one in particular was a $51 billion settlement that included Mallinckrodt and several pharmacies that were named in this settlement agreement. And this is for nationwide distribution. And so the way it works is the state of Oregon participated in that settlement and part of that class action suit, and they receive a specific percentage of the proceeds. And then from there, it is delineated down to individual counties and cities within the state of Oregon. Part of the reason you don't see a dollar amount associated with this is because it's somewhat of a fluid amount. So if cities choose to opt out and not receive the funding because they don't really provide services in this space, it would go to the county that the city operates in. It also changes as new pharmacies and new entities are sort of named in the settlement. And so this particular amendment names additional pharmacies, Allergan, Teva, Walgreens, CVS, and Walmart. And it also acknowledged that Mallinckrodt had filed bankruptcy, so it kind of did some restructuring of the settlement agreement there. So this amendment specifically is sort of updating the language on, who the parties are that now have to settle with the recipients. We so far to date across the 2 settlements, we've received about $1.8 million that started last year. We expect the total to be somewhere around $7 million, but like I said, it is a fluid number, so we don't know exactly. And as of to date, we have not spent any of those funds. Part of that was we were, prioritizing as a county and as a board about where we want to make those investments. And we also wanted to see what the outcome was of our burn funding that was just presented by Carol Hurd about, we weren't sure what that extension of those Measure 110 funds were going to be, and if any of these were going to be needed to sort of maintain the service level. So I know that we've got some conversations that have taken place to some degree about these dollars, and we'll have future ones. But at this point in time, I'm not necessarily proposing, anything with them. But I am proposing that we accept this amendment so we can continue to receive the distributions, and then we can see, how to best utilize these dollars to support our communities that were impacted by the opioid epidemic. So with that, if there's any questions you have, I'm happy to try to answer those.
The only question I have is about the bankruptcy. Does that, since they filed, and did they file a Chapter 7, or do they if they're gonna have to figure out how to pay out any of that settlement?
I believe it's I think it's actually their second bankruptcy they're going through.
Okay.
I'm not obviously not a bankruptcy attorney, so I
Sure.
don't know how that all works. I do know that they're still on the hook for certain amounts, but whether that reduced that down slightly, I don't have super great clarity on that. But I just know that this sort of factored in, any legal work that's happened on that side of it.
Okay. I just think it's difficult to plan if
It
we
is.
don't know, which is, yes, the burn process was a delay, but also how do you plan for something when you don't know what the amount is going to be? And it comes randomly in
Right.
odd amounts. It's not like every year we're getting $1.5 million.
Every payment has been different. We've had 5 distributions over the past year or so, and every amount is different. So
Yeah.
you're right, it does make it hard to plan. I think it certainly makes it difficult to use these funds for sort of ongoing FTE, ongoing programs, because
Sure.
those funds are going to end. I think that we've talked about potential, capital investments, like potentially another Her Place or other things that we feel like that work where it's sort of that capital upfront cost that's a barrier to operating them, and these kind of funds are a good solution for those. But like I said, obviously we haven't made any key
Right.
decisions on that yet.
Okay. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.
Any questions? Commissioner Taylor? Nope. Would you like me to second this motion due to the?
Yeah, I'm not voting for it.
He's declaring a conflict.
After all those
For the
nice
people who are
comments.
coming in late to this discussion, it has nothing to do with the contract.
All right, yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve an amendment for the Oregon supplemental to statewide allocation agreement with the state of Oregon to extend settlement allocations and clarify the use of proceeds and related administrative details.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Do you have further discussion? There's a question there.
Well, not a question. I just think that for the record, when we're publishing this somewhere, it should specifically call out what it is. This made 0 sense to me on the description. So when people online are reviewing back the record, I want them to know that this is about the opioid settlement and not just be confused like myself. So that's all.
And for the
Fair enough.
record, it should be noted how magnanimous Commissioner Cameron was to make this motion despite comments about his beloved beavers and ducks. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Brian owes me.
All right, I'll put one in the tally mark. All right, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Ryan.
Oh, geez.
Thanks,
All
Ryan.
right, Chris, you're up. We're going to consider approval of amendment number 1 to the construction manager and general contractor contract with Sladen Constructors Incorporated to add $103,259 for a new contract total of $478,477 to clear vegetation and dig test pits for field services associated with the North Santiam Canyon Sewer Project through December 31st, 2026. We're making progress.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Chris Einmo, Marion County Public Works. So this is, yes, regarding the Sladen Constructors contract for construction manager, general services, construction manager, general contractor services. So the contract in its current state is to provide pre-construction services with the intent that that will later be amended to do the full construction of the North Santiam Canyon Sewer Project. As part of the construction manager portion, we have the ability to execute early work amendments where it's advantageous to the county to perform certain field services. Primarily those are either early packages that are needed to be constructed on a certain timeline or work that is in support of the engineering design process. We have already selected and identified the alignment for the future Gates Mill City sewer pipeline. That's critical to the project because it allows the connection of Gates, which provides not only sewer services to Gates, but also provides the critical biosolids needed for the operation of the Mill City plant. So in order to construct that on the timeline, we've asked Sladen to provide a proposal to actually clear and grub that alignment. This will provide us with several things. It gives us a traversable work area to do our surveying, as well as our clearances, our environmental, archaeological, and to do the geotechnical investigation along that alignment. The geotech information will provide us more information about constructability, mitigating landslide risks, as well as the trenching requirements when we build that actual sewer pipeline. In addition to that, this amendment would also include support to actually physically dig the test pits that the geotechnical engineers will use. So this will be a case of our engineer on the project, Keller Associates, will be directing them about precisely where they need those pits and what information they need to get. And then Sladen will manage the physical construction work of clearing access and digging the pits. All of this will allow us to finish our design and get to construction within the aggressive timelines of the project.
And for our education, Chris, can you just tell us a little bit about these test pits? What's the importance of them?
So the test pits allow us to go in and get up soil samples. They're going to be spaced about every 300 feet apart approximately. So those will identify the soil conditions down to the depth of where the sewer pipeline will sit underground. They will also give us kind of a snapshot of what the subsurface conditions look like, identify rocks and boulders, give us an idea of exactly what we'll be digging into when we actually trench that full sewer pipeline.
Great, perfect, thank you. Any questions, Commissioner?
No,
I'm happy to move it forward.
keeping it going.
Keep it going, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I appreciate the picture. There's some maps.
Yes.
So it's good visual for folks to see.
This was another one of our priorities yesterday.
Yeah, when do you
This thing
expect this to
going.
be done?
We-
This particular work?
This particular work, we are going to release that as soon as the permits are ready and as soon as the geotechnical is ready, so that it's all going to work together in concert. Potentially early January.
Okay, wonderful.
It'll be complete in early January?
It'll start in early
It'll
January.
start early January.
But this will actually be fairly quick work, so.
And this is on the Lynn County side, right?
Actually, this is all on the Marion County side.
It is. So it's our permitting process.
It's ours and ODOT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
yeah, ODOT owns and maintains the old railroad right-of-way.
Okay.
You were about ready to be like, if you get jammed up, call us. But then ODOT.
Well, our team's not gonna jam us on this because they would like to get it off their desks. I'm sure of it, but ODOT, I can't really.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're being good partners.
So far, they've been extremely cooperative. We've had good talks
Good.
with them, so we don't see any hang-ups there.
Good.
Wonderful.
I'm glad. Thank you.
Okay, take a motion.
All right, I move to approve amendment number 1 to the construction manager and general contractor contract with Sladen Constructors, Inc. to add $103,259 for a new contract total of $478,477 to clear vegetation and dig test pits for field services associated with the North Santiam Canyon Sewer Project through December 31st, 2026.
I'll second the
We
motion.
have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, that's it for our agenda today, Commissioners. Is there anything else you'd like to share for the good of the order?
No, well, there's some activities coming up. This Friday is the city, well, it's not the city, the Downtown Association of Salem is hosting a light parade. And then on Saturday is the Sublimity Light Parade. So there's lots of things to do in the community. And then next weekend, Almsville is doing activities, and so the city of Kaiser, the Kaiser Chamber of Commerce, rather, is hosting the Holiday Lights Parade in Kaiser. So there's lots of things to take your kiddos out and freeze freeze yourself up to watch the festivities pass by, I'll be there. I hope people come out and support. Derek Gilbert and some other business owners in Salem, this is the second year for them to host the light parade in Salem. I know the sheriff's office is participating, so I think it'll be great. That's this Friday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, wonderful.
tune in or show up.
That's it.
Yep. That's all I got.
Anything else, Commissioner Cameron?
Oh, good.
No. Okay, then we are adjourned.